Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Emergence, a great episode. A lot of interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, it's not much to point out. I like Jo's personality. I don't know what you'd call it, sarcastic or whatever, but she has this witty sarcasm to her that, especially when she's talking to that dude Kent. He's the one that tried to, the bad guy from last episode. When she's talking to him, it's like, I could always, wrote up a lovely piece. She's like, I got to be kind of a celebrity for a little bit of time, so that was kind of neat. But my buddy could also, my reporter friend can also write a story about you. Just, how you're working with the cops and everything, and you got this nice hospital room. Even her being like, oh, wow, look at this hospital room. You really upgraded. Good for you. She's so sarcastic in a witty way, and I like that aspect of her personality. I feel like it really shined in this episode with just a lot of her responses. I even love that moment between her, Mia, and Benny, where Benny shows up with pastries. She's like, I'd love one. And then Joe's like, what? Because even I was thinking, Mia, you don't know this dude and you're accepting food from him. And immediately Joe's like, what? You don't even know him. Why would you accept food? And she's like, well, you know him. So it's just kind of Joe's like, just get in the car. Which obviously Mia, now you think about it, because we know that Mia can be sarcastic too. So we see where she kind of gets it from. I just thought that was kind of a neat little situation. But obviously Joe doesn't want Benny to, because she doesn't want him to just turn Piper into a piece. It's because for her, that's what she thinks this is all for Benny. It's this is just about your career and everything. I don't want you to traumatize that girl more than you already have. Because obviously that was the whole point of leaving her out of the article and stuff like that, keeping things as vague as possible associated with her. But the fact of the matter is, it is that thing of at the end of the day, it's she's also doesn't want everything else about Piper to kind of come out. So about her powers and everything. So she's kind of pushing that to the wayside and everything. But it turns out, Piper's getting sick. Kent even tells Joe later on, it's well, for one, there's a dude named Richard. He runs this big tech company. Interesting enough, he's played by Terry O'Quinn. Obviously, best known probably for Lost, which is interesting. Obviously, because Lost was on ABC. So it's hey, welcome back to ABC, Terry. Regardless, there was something more recently I feel like I saw him in. I don't remember what it was. I feel like I remember seeing him pop up in something more recent, but maybe whatever the case may be. But he ends up talking about the fact is he was simply after that device. I guess the whole point was he wasn't worried about getting Piper last episode, because I figured as much. It didn't seem like he cared too much. I was under the impression because he knew he'd get to her anyway. But he was after that device because I guess they didn't want anyone to find that device and it could lead back to him. That's what I was wondering about the bodies too. Is that, because you could have easily just cut it out, but then that probably would have left incision marks. So you just you dissolve the bodies, obviously to cover up finding out what their identities are. But maybe they had something in there too. But now it's no, maybe that's not the case. Now that I'm sitting here talking about it now, kind of working it out in my head, it's no, it was probably most likely just evidence thing. But the thing she cut out her neck, it's all they wanted. So they probably would have went to Piper, captured her, cut it out her neck. But since it wasn't in her neck anymore, we don't really need to worry about it. Because I guess it's too valuable technology. Maybe it's a storage device in itself. There's too much information on it to let it just go to waste. So it's let's take it back. So there's that. But Piper's sick. Alex is looking after her and everything. I thought was kind of neat. Because obviously Alex cares for the kid, but he's just in this awkward situation because him and Joe, he's going to look into that radio signal stuff for her. And she's yeah, this is going to be, don't you think this whole you being here thing is kind of confusing? He's oh, what, for you? She's no, I'm not talking about me. But then Mia shows up and Mia's this is good. And it's that's the point she was trying to make, that Mia is too keen on the fact that them getting back together, this might confuse her, So Alex is I'll be out of here by the end of business day. But he's looking after Piper and everything, which they had their bonding moment and everything. And it's actually super cute. She's asking questions oh, why did you get divorced? What do you do for a job and stuff like that? And he's oh, can you draw me this? And then she's yeah, easy, no problem. But then it turns out he's playing the message and she can understand it. And she's telling him what it is. He's what does this mean? She's I don't know. Do you know what it means? He's I have no idea, but this is really good, Piper. And she's you can tell Joe you figured out. He's why would I do that? She's because it would make her happy and that would make you happy. And I was oh, stop, damn it, being adorable, kid. And that was kind of, that was really sweet because trying to get, Alex brownie points, essentially, because Joe being happy does make him, like I said, because even Abby brings it up, like, whoa, your ex is moved back in, like, yo, we need to talk about this. And I love the dude Walter being nearby, and Joe's like, did you get all that, Walter? He's like, walking away, kind of like sucking up all that tea, I just thought that was kind of nice. And obviously it is an awkward situation because, like I said, brought it up last episode, there's something there. I mean, obviously there's a divorce situation. We haven't really brought up like what exactly went down. Maybe it's like work became too much of a priority in certain regards, because obviously it's not like a thing of like, oh, he's a bad father or anything like that. It's like, no, it doesn't seem like it's anything like that, but maybe that's something we'll dive into. Just things just didn't work out for whatever reason. But I think being separate has kind of reminded them, it probably brings them back to the old times, especially with Piper around. Probably reminds them of, Mia growing up, which obviously she's a teenager, so she's still growing up, but you get what I'm trying to say, having like someone much younger around and everything, it just probably brings them back to those old days. Because even like when she was in the hospital, they made reference to like, Mia's appendix and everything. And I'm like, yeah, how much of a house that whole situation was, so it's like, there's something there. It's rekindling some flames that were there that may have kind of dimmed a little bit, but it might be getting a little bit brighter, So I just thought that was just kind of an interesting situation. But the fact of the matter is, you have, and what I thought was so fascinating too was Piper's condition. It seemed like basically every time like something would happen, like she had a nightmare. She went to the doorknob dissolved. When she was in the pharmacy, at the store or whatever, the wall started disappearing. She was in the MRI, the wall started disappearing, and then she started disappearing, like almost everything getting snapped away, almost in a sense. So obviously, once again, interesting that that's the pool I go for, just because I'm the nerd I am, but also just because it's like, oh yeah, because it's ABC, Disney connection, whole thing. So I am curious though. Like, I was wondering, like, what was that about? Was that like some psychological thing? Like, what that? Obviously, I think that holds a lot of weight to what that represents, but we'll get to that soon enough. But it turns out Benny has a connection to this case, a little bit of a deeper connection, because it involves Richard. He actually did a puff piece on Richard because it was him getting close to him, because he knows a little bit like, oh, Piper probably has powers and stuff like that, because there's rumors about him experimenting on people and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, so Piper might be an experiment, kind of like I said with the whole 11 situation. That's a comparison I made. Obviously, I ended up being wrong, but like I said, we'll get to that soon enough. But also, once again, just showing you how Joe handles a situation. She's like, oh my God, I found your car. Oh, wow, it must be so important to you. Thank you for taking your time, and it's like, oh. And then that lady, Emily, at first I was like, my mind immediately goes, okay, is she going to end up being, because it looked like she was going to say something, but I was like, is that supposed to be like, actually Piper's mom or something like that? And that's what I was kind of wondering about potentially, but no, that ended up not being the case at all. But it did seem like she wanted to say something. So they ended up tracking Emily down because Piper's condition got worse. They were able to mediate it with like copper and stuff like that, which that in itself speaks volume. It's like, why the hell copper and some other stuff? Like, what the hell would that do? We'll circle back to that later. It made her better for a little while, but things got worse. It was like a temporary solution. So Benny and Joe were able to track her down, and they end up breaking into this facility because she ends up helping them break in. It's like you got 5 minutes, and they were looking for a particular case, and then they get attacked by essentially robot dogs. I was like, okay, so we're going down this, and I wasn't expecting that. That's interesting. Essentially kind of droids or drones in the more form of a robot dogs, which that was interesting. I really wasn't expecting that to be security. Those things had like cameras for faces, so I was like, yeah, they saw Joe's face. They probably saw Benny's too. So it's like, I mean, they can probably surmise who was the person anyway. But I mean, I don't know. They were shut down later on, so maybe. But you kind of wonder if like before they got shut down, was their information or data sent to like a database? Emily didn't say anything about that, so it seems like that might not be the case. But what about the one that Benny bashed? Like maybe it still was able to send its signal. So maybe it sent something out saying like, oh, they're the ones behind this. But obviously there's also the thing of like where the facility is and everything. It's most likely Joe and them behind it. So it's probably not that hard of a deduction to make. But it turns out Emily was working on something on the computer, and she was like, give this. It's like, wait, Piper needs medicine. What are you trying to say? It's like, wait, you're saying Piper's a robot. I was like, what? Completely blindsided me. No shape or form what I was thinking. Wait, like I said, I was under the impression, it's like, are we doing an 11 situation where she's a human who got experimented on, but it's like, no, she's a straight up robot. Well, then the question becomes like, are we going like Red Ribbon Army? It's a DBZ reference. Are we, like 16, 17, and 18? More so referencing like 18. Type of situation of like she was human at one point and then became an android, or she just a straight up android. That's probably why she doesn't have any memories, because she's straight up a robot. I was like, dude, I would have never guessed that. And she's a robot with powers too. I guess maybe on some level that explains like that electromagnetism to a certain extent, because I was wondering like what her power was, but maybe like because of her body, like she naturally is almost like a magnet. She creates this magnetism around her. Maybe that's the argument that could be made. Or I'm curious. I'm curious to explain the science fiction behind like her abilities and stuff like that. But regardless, it makes sense in many different regards, because a lot of stuff kept revolving around technology. The signals and stuff like that flashing on the TV in like the first the first episode or whatever. It's like, oh, like, okay. Then Kent almost getting killed because his morphine kept pumping into him, so they're trying to clean base on that front. Even though Joe didn't say anything, didn't write the actual article or anything, they're well versed enough to know that, oh, he's been dealt with. That, because was that after or before they went to see Kent? I can't remember. It might have been after. I mean, they went to see Richard. That might have been after. I don't remember. But regardless, they probably are hacked into all tech, especially at the hospital, just to get some updates on Piper. It's actually interesting because I didn't talk about it, but that's why they weren't worried about Piper, because she was eventually going to die. Like, I guess she needs like maybe like basically a system update or reboot every so often. Or maybe just like the human side and the robotic side clash and it creates too much of an issue. Or maybe it is just, like I said, maybe she is a full-blown robot, like I said, because that would explain why she doesn't have any memories and stuff like that. The scalpel and everything, cutting her open, I mean, that could tie to her being a human and them cutting her open. Maybe she died and it brought her back as a robot. I don't know. I mean, hell, she could be imaged after someone that's dead. Maybe that'll be the reveal we find out later on that, like, oh, there was a real person that died, a little girl, who whatever Piper's real name is, that Piper is based on. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's something related to Richard. The way Emily said, because she was like, oh, organ failure, she's not going to be able to speak or hear, and then eventually die. How do you know that? Because she's seen it before. So there's been, I mean, it makes you wonder, is it going to be a thing of like, well, there's been multiple Pipers. They all look the same as her and have gone through the same situation, but Emily's seen others die, or do they all look unique? Like, I'm so curious to kind of dive into this. And obviously, Joe is having a hard time processing this because she hasn't told anyone yet. Obviously, the only other person that knows is Benny, and now she's having this hard thing because it's like, yeah, you could accept, hey, she's a little girl. Hey, she's got superpowers. Maybe it's okay. I'm going to look after her. But now it's kind of like a weird thing of like, now you kind of take that leap of she's a robot. Like, you care about her and because you see what kind of girl she is, that, hey, Alex keeps referencing the fact is that she is special. Also, he made reference to the whole like, oh, this is a great profile on Chrissy Teigen. I think we could be friends. Part of me wonders, like, is Donald Faison in real life real friends with Chrissy Teigen or something like that? Or is it just them referencing just because she kind of has a dope personality that people are like, yeah, she just kind of has that magnetic type of personality where it's like, she seems like the type of person you can kind of kick it with. That could be another way of interpreting it. I'm curious about that. It's just interesting that they had, out of anyone, Donald Faison say that. So that's why I was wondering if that was, Alex, but you get what I'm trying to say. But it's like, I'm curious, is that what that's supposed to be like a slight nod to, or is it more so what I was saying, regardless of the situation? But like I said, Joe is not handling that well because she can't look at Piper the same way now, knowing like, wait, that's real. So like I said, I'm curious, is it like, did she actually like, is there like, was she suffering from a legitimate computer virus? Which even that real world wise is actually kind of going to the point like they were able, I think I remember someone saying like apparently in real life they've infected DNA with an actual computer virus, showing that DNA kind of works in the same level. The human body, it's very similar to a computer system, and especially the brain. The brain's literally a computer in itself. It makes you wonder, is it something like that? But was she literally suffering from an actual virus, that they were kind of wiping her out from? Or maybe, she might be like newly manufactured, and everything. Maybe they didn't have time to implant her with memories. Maybe they don't ever bother with that. Regardless of the situation, it's a very, like, turning this into like some mad scientist thing. Kind of figured it would be, but to know that this is like going to be like a very text heavy show in that regard. And the grand scheme of things, like I said, the copper kind of makes sense. Why she was able to decipher the code when no one else could, because it's almost like computer talking to computer. It's computer code that only she potentially can understand. Kind of like machine talking to machine. So I'm sure there's probably like an Ex Machina reference that could be made here, but I'm not familiar with the movie. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I've just never watched it, so it's a movie I should check out just because it's in the back of my mind. But all that kind of explains things. And then there's also that thing of like Ed being like, nah, everything's good. The doctor said I'm too healthy and stuff like that. Him being super positive. But Piper knows he's lying because she grabs his hand and holds him, because the way she was looking at him is like, she knows the truth. And maybe he gets the feeling that she knows, but maybe that's why she was able to know like what's up with him, that it's not helping, because maybe on some level, the reason why she knows what she knows is because like the system inside of her was self-diagnosing him. She analyzed him, and just like her computer brain's automatically like, oh, you're sick, and touching him, it's like, no, I know you're still sick, like that's a lie and everything. Dude, that's a lot to kind of drop. Dude, things are getting interesting. Like, holy crap, things were already interesting, and just with every new episode, things get even more and more interesting. I'm so excited to kind of dive into this, because maybe people saw it coming. I didn't see. That seemed like a curveball to me. She's a robot, dude. That's awesome. I'm so interested to kind of dive into this. I'm sure for Mia, she won't care, but obviously that's something, like I said, I think in the end, Joe's not going to care either, but it's going to be interesting when the information gets dropped to everyone else. How's Ed going to feel? He's going to be like, no, doesn't matter. She's still this little girl that needs her help. Maybe Alex will probably struggle with it as well. It's like, but she's a robot, So I'm very, very interested to see where all this takes us next episode. We never got an update on Kit's condition, but I'm assuming he's okay. Hopefully they got to him in time. I don't think they said anything about him dying, so, and that's also going to be interesting. Maybe that's why the MRI acted the way it did too. Maybe it wasn't just her condition, but also like her cybernetics or whatever was being screwed with, because the MRI is a giant, like, it's almost like a magnet, isn't it? I mean, I'm not scientific at all, but that's what it is. Like, that thing is a gigantic magnet, so like maybe it scrambled her system, so that's why like the condition actually got worse, because maybe that's why the copper was a good solution until they put her in an MRI and it just short-circuited her systems, hence the whole like, oh, everything that's what I think it's representing. It's like representing everything getting deleted. That's what the white space and all that stuff, like something being wiped clean. So that's where my mindset is at everything. Like I said, I cannot wait to see what the next episode has in store for us with all of this. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.